I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Carl Jung. How many times in your life have you felt broken by a single word from someone, or shattered by one situation that left you questioning your own strength? We've all been there, moments when pain from people or circumstances felt unbearable, when a careless comment pierced deeper than it should, or when an event left you doubting who you really are. This is exactly what Carl Jung was pointing to when he revealed a profound truth. The real battle is not out there in the world, but within ourselves. The world will always test us through loss, rejection, betrayal, or the simple cruelty of words, but Jung believed there is a way to rise above it, a way to walk through life so deeply anchored in your own self that nothing and no one can truly touch you. His secret wasn't about building walls, pretending to be strong, or numbing yourself to pain. Instead, it was about transforming your relationship with suffering and reclaiming the inner power that so many of us give away to others without even realizing it. You see, most people live as if their worth is constantly up for negotiation, defined by how others treat them or by the wounds of the past. Jung challenges us to step out of that prison and realize that what has happened to us does not define us. What defines us is what we choose to become in response, and that choice is where freedom lies. So in this video, I'm going to share with you Carl Jung's powerful secret to becoming untouchable, not in the sense of avoiding life, but in becoming so grounded in your own essence that neither pain nor people can destroy your peace. This isn't just theory, it's a way of living that can reshape how you handle criticism, setbacks, and even your darkest moments. If you've ever longed to feel unshakable, to carry a strength that nothing outside of you can steal, then stay with me, because what Jung discovered can change the way you see yourself and the way you face the world. Carl Jung believed that the greatest battles we fight are not against the world, nor against the people who wound us, but against the hidden parts of ourselves that we refuse to face, what he called the shadow. The shadow is everything within us that we deny, suppress, or reject. The anger we pretend we don't have, the fear we bury, the desires we are ashamed of, the weaknesses we desperately try to hide. Jung taught that much of our suffering comes not from the attacks of others, but from our unwillingness to acknowledge these darker aspects of ourselves. When we deny the shadow, it doesn't disappear, it grows stronger, and it begins to control us from the background. It makes us oversensitive, reactive, and fragile in the face of criticism or pain. But when we have the courage to turn inward, to confront and embrace these parts of ourselves, something extraordinary happens. We gain a strength that no external force can shake. Because once you own your shadow, no insult can truly wound you, no rejection can define you, and no betrayal can strip you of your essence. Jung insisted that true resilience begins inside, with radical self-acceptance, and from that acceptance springs an unshakable power. He also urged us to separate ourselves from the judgments of others. One of the most common traps we fall into is believing that our worth is determined by what people think, say, or do to us. But Jung reminds us that every harsh word, every unfair judgment, is more a reflection of the other person's inner world than of our own truth. Their criticisms often mirror their fears, insecurities, or unresolved pain projected outward. Imagine someone throws a cruel insult at you. Most of us immediately internalize it, letting it pierce our sense of self. But the question we should ask, Jung would say, is not, is this true about me, but rather, what does this reveal about them? That shift in perspective is liberation. It removes the sting from their words and puts the power back in your hands. Think of it like this. If someone tells you the sky is green, you don't collapse in doubt. You simply recognize it's their perception, not reality. In the same way, when someone labels you as weak, worthless, or unworthy, it says more about the lens through which they see the world than about who you really are. The secret is learning not to let their shadow define your light. And here's the practical application. The next time you face harsh criticism or rejection, pause before reacting. Breathe and ask yourself, is this about me or is this about them? 9 times out of 10, you'll realize their words are echoes of their own battles, not a verdict on your value. And in that moment, you take back the power you may have been giving away your entire life. This is what it means to begin the journey of becoming untouchable. To stop letting hidden parts of yourself and the projections of others dictate your worth, and to stand instead in the steady ground of self-knowledge and self-acceptance. For Jung, this wasn't just philosophy, it was survival. Because until you face your own shadow, the world will use it against you. But once you bring it into the light, you become whole, and when you are whole, you are free. If the first step to becoming untouchable is to understand your shadow and stop letting it secretly govern your reactions, then the second step is to practice, day by day, a way of living that anchors you so deeply inside yourself that nothing external can easily shake you. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of self-awareness, because without it, we are like leaves blown around by every passing wind of emotion. Self-awareness means learning to notice your feelings without drowning in them. To step back and say, I'm feeling anger right now, instead of becoming consumed by that anger. Or, I feel hurt, instead of unconsciously lashing out. One of the simplest ways to train this awareness is by journaling, writing down what you felt during the day, what triggered it, and asking yourself why. Meditation is another tool. Not as an escape, but as a mirror, a way to watch your mind without judgment. This act of observation creates distance, and in that space, you begin to see that emotions are waves passing through you, not definitions of who you are. From this foundation of awareness, you can build what Jung might call inner centering, the ability to draw your sense of worth from within, rather than from the ever-changing judgments of others. Too often we hand over our self-esteem like it's a fragile gift for other people to protect or destroy. But when your value comes from within, you no longer beg for validation, and you no longer collapse under criticism. One practical way to reinforce this inner centering is through daily affirmations, not empty cliches, but grounded statements that remind you of your strength. Saying to yourself, I trust myself. I'm stronger than any word or situation. May feel strange at first, but repeated consistently, it rewires the mind to stand taller, calmer, more rooted in truth. Then comes one of Jung's most striking insights, reframing pain. He said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. In other words, pain is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Every wound is an invitation to grow, every hardship a mirror showing us what we still need to learn about ourselves. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you ask, what is this trying to teach me? That shift transforms suffering from a prison into a classroom. Imagine heartbreak, betrayal, or failure not as final blows, but as thresholds to deeper awareness. Suddenly, the pain that once crushed you becomes the very force that shapes your strength. Finally, there is the matter of freedom from control. Jung understood that as long as we allow others to dictate our moods, our identity, or our sense of peace, we remain prisoners. If someone can ruin your day with a single comment, they own you. The true untouchable person is not the one who avoids people, but the one who refuses to surrender their inner state to the whims of others. This doesn't mean being cold or disconnected. It means recognizing that your peace is your responsibility, not something to be handed over. And here is the truth. The person who can anger you easily controls you. The person who can make you doubt yourself possesses you. To become untouchable is to reclaim that power, to hold your emotional steering wheel firmly in your own hands, And when you live this way, aware of yourself, centered in your own value, open to the lessons of pain, and free from the strings of other people's control, you begin to embody the strength Jung spoke of. You're no longer tossed around by criticism, betrayal, or rejection. You carry yourself with a quiet power, a resilience that doesn't need to shout because it cannot be shaken. And that is what it means in the deepest sense to be untouchable. In the end, what Carl Jung teaches us is that the secret to becoming untouchable is not to run from pain or to silence the voices of people around us, but to reclaim the power we so often hand over without realizing it. The path is not about ignoring emotions or pretending to be invincible, but about turning inward and accepting all that we are, even the shadow we fear, and from that acceptance, finding a strength that no one can take away. Jung reminds us that pain is not a curse but a teacher, and when we allow it to shape us instead of break us, we rise into a state where rejection, criticism, or betrayal can no longer define us. The truth is simple. When you choose to face yourself, when you separate your worth from the opinions of others, you discover that you are far stronger than you ever imagined. So remember, the secret is not to control the world, but to control yourself. Be the master of your own mind and heart, and you will find that nothing and no one has the power to touch your inner peace. Be the master of yourself, and then nothing and no one will be able to touch you. And if you found this message inspiring, share it with someone who needs to hear it today, and don't forget to subscribe for more of Jung's timeless insights and the hidden secrets of psychological strength.